Storytelling writing. You think about it, we rant about it. Listen to us live on Facebook.
Hey everybody, happy Wednesday, hump day. For all of you who know that whole joke, and if you watch Geico commercials and you see that camel, you probably cringe. But anyways, it's Wednesday, it's the middle of the week. It's early in the month, but we're in the middle of a crap storm. Let me tell you, it's absolutely fascinating as I continue to say that the United States continues to be the greatest reality TV show out there for the whole world to laugh at. And it's interesting to see when you look at other publications, other media looking at the United States and going, scratching their head, going, again, divisiveness, again, government shutdown, again. What is wrong with this so-called world leader? Stuart, what the hell is wrong with the Disunited States of America?
You know, David, I got to say that was a great picture and great caption that you put up. And I don't think words could explain it any more than disconnected America. If this was 2 years ago, back in 2018, 3 years ago, Susan Melter, senior professor at the Institute in the Department of Government at Cornell University, decided to write about how disconnected America was from its government. Now, if you remember back, that was President Donald J. Trump. However, now we've got little Joe, crybaby Joe, President Joe Biden, and this is the most disconnected government to people in the history of the United States of America. Why do I say this? We all know politicians like to talk out of both sides of their mouths, and no different. This government does it best. You want to have more government control. You want to have your privacy exposed. You don't want to have your autonomy, your independence, all the things that make the United States of America a glory place to live. Not that living in Canada is, any different, but it is. You're in the United States of America, supposed to be the beacon amongst the world as a shining light of freedom, where people come to assemble, to speak their minds, to have an opinion, not to have their opinion turned into an incitement against the government, and now you're a radical. So if you have an opinion about critical race theory and you want to talk about it, you're now an enemy of the state. Will Smith was in a movie about 15 years ago that was called Enemy of the State. I think it was called Enemy of the State. Don't remember. Yep. But Will Smith was in it. And you know what? Big Brother was watching. That's what that whole movie was about. It is the reality today. The Manchurian Candidate was not Barack Obama. It is President Joe Biden. Or is he president? Does he remember he's president? Does he remember that he's in the Oval Office? Who is steering the ship? Because Joe walks around thinking that this is what America wants. Last time I checked, Americans want to have their freedom. They want to have a right to choose. They want to be able to conduct themselves and not feel that they're the enemy of the state. Why are people who are not citizens being given and afforded more rights than its actual citizens? When are criminals afforded more rights and freedoms than its own citizens? Why are the police being grilled as being the enemy of the state when they are the protectors of the state? I think this government and these progressive left-wing Democrats have this very, very right. I think they're perfectly right. They are true socialists, and they are doing it on the auspices that we're Democrats. I think the Democrats of this country are being deceived. I think the Democrats of this country are being hoodwinked, being sold snake oil, a bill of goods that isn't going to help them. Do you realize that, we talked about this last week. The transactions above $9,999 need to be reported to the IRS. If you went to a casino, it had to be reported to an IRS as winnings, right? Not that you want to have any money that the government doesn't charge you tax on. But every American that takes a payment or spends $600. Now, you know what? I have an advisory practice. If I had to record every transaction that was $600 or more, oh boy. The banks, do they want to do it? They want to capitulate to remain their autonomy. The government was going to jawbone them to capitulate that this is really good for you, Mr. American. But if I want to go buy as I think it was brought up, a cow, or if I want to go and buy a couch, do I need to tell the IRS that I'm doing so? If the IRS cannot manage its affairs and keep secrets that it's supposed to, like every lawyer, doctor, and financial advisor, or even reporter for that matter, if there is an honest reporter left, do you want to trust the government with more of your information? I know that if I worked for Uncle Sam and my stuff was leaked out, as happened several years ago under President Barack Obama, where millions of our servicemen and women and children and spouses was leaked to China, where they are building databases and they are, conducting covert operations in our country. The NBA cow tips to China. But why is our government cow tipping to China? Why is our government cow tipping to the progressive left, which seems to be more in line with China? Why? And that's where the China thing comes in. Since when is a sports athlete more of an authority than the experts in a field? I don't get it. Why do our senators and congressmen need private security?
Wow.
But you don't need a policeman.
Wow.
Again, our government is gone by the way of the dodo birds.
Well,
even a military state will not survive what this government's about to do.
100%. But we're talking about the disunification.
Yes.
And what's crazy is, and let's just talk really right now about understanding what's right for America. And let's talk about that budget. And let's talk about how, the once upon a time,
didn't get there yet.
The media loves to play on the whole notion of, by the way, it's the Republicans versus the Democrats versus the Republicans. Whoever was the sitting president versus Congress or the Senate, it's always an us versus them mentality. And the media...
Hang on a second. Hang on. Aren't they supposed to represent
Hold
us?
on.
Are they not elected to serve the people by the people?
Right. So the problem is that what was once a closer ideology has now gone further out in order to create this divisiveness. And unfortunately, both parties have been very good at saying how the other one doesn't help. Now, the crazy thing about this infrastructure bill is that it's not really an infrastructure bill in its purest sense. I mean, we are being lied to that it's an infrastructure bill. There is finally an admission. CNBC finally admits that it's, there's a little bit of social spending in there too.
A little.
Okay. We're not talking about a little. We're talking trillions. We're talking also this complete irresponsibility of a debt ceiling where the government says, we don't have to worry about a debt ceiling. I don't know about you, but the credit card companies give me a limit of what I can spend. Why is a government able to do and spend whatever they want? And the Republicans are saying no, but that's not the problem. The problem I have is with the progressives. You had a budget ready to be passed, and the progressives, the hardcore left wing, run by our friend Bernie Sanders and AOC and whatever, are forcing Biden and the rest of the Democrats to think otherwise. They say, we are not going to pass this bill if you don't put what we want in there. And what we want is to force more government spending in areas that really are not going to help. It's about furthering their own personal agenda. And by the way, if you don't agree with this, okay,
you're an enemy of the state. You're an enemy of the state.
I'm sorry, Stuart. I'll chase you into the bathroom. Senator Christie
Yep.
Sinema was appalled by these pro-lefties who are chasing her, and she's a Democrat. But the progressives in the party chased her into a bathroom to tell her how wrong. I mean, I'm sorry to say, Stuart, your country is not only disunited, it's dysfunctional. I mean,
It's
look,
sad. It's sad.
When I hear that Nancy Pelosi, the iron-fisted lady, as they call her, she runs a tight ship. Even people in her own party are saying she's lost control because the progressives have pulled things even further left, which will mean the Republicans are going to pull even further right. And you know what? At one point, Stuart, it's going to snap.
Well, Nancy Pelosi claims to have control of her party, but you know what? I'm going to put this pledge out there. I want someone to chase Nancy Pelosi in the bathroom.
No, we don't need to do that.
No, hang on a second. We chase Nancy Pelosi in a hair salon. I want to chase Nancy Pelosi in a bathroom. And I want Nancy Pelosi to either call out these people as being criminals, to invade someone's privacy in a bathroom.
She won't, because these are Democrats. These are voters.
Oh, so you're saying that Nancy Pelosi's a hypocrite?
Excuse me, all politicians are hypocrites. But
frankly, is Nancy Pelosi a hypocrite?
Of course she is.
Well, then that makes you an enemy of the state. You called someone in power a hypocrite.
Of course,
calling them.
I am an enemy of the state.
Do people realize that by them doing so, they are merely giving up their rights, their freedoms? And it's not just about the privacy in your bathroom. It's the privacy in your bedroom.
But now you sound like a crazed lunatic. You sound like a conspiracy theorist. You might be actually subscribed. Are you subscribing to QAnon? Let me tell you something. The problem which I have with all these people, it's either you're with me or you're against me. And we see this more and more, not only in the United States, we see it in Canada, we see it in other places, we see it. But you know what's interesting? The president of France made a comment that the whole world is absolutely watching this show and saying it's your quote unquote woke, your progressives, that are hurting your country. And it's not because nobody wants to progress. I think the term progressives, and I hate
has nothing to do with progress.
It's not to be about progressiveness. It's a term that I think is completely irresponsible. They're socialists, they're leftists, they're anarchists. I'm sorry to say. They're the only people who are focusing on everything that's negative. Now, if you don't believe me, please listen to former South Carolina Republican Governor Nikki Haley, who you could say was a Trump lover. She wasn't. Yes, she's a Republican. She's a minority, a woman who became the governor of South Carolina. And she essentially has said that the people on the left hate America more and purport this type of remarks.
They're self-deprecating
No, it's not.
people.
No, self-deprecation means yourself. What they're doing is what would be called treason.
Well, they're Americans. They hate themselves.
No, but there would be called treason in another country. To talk
in China, they would be lined up and shot. In Russia, they would be lined up and shot or sent to the gulag.
Eliminated. So the whole thing is that it's the entire
So
agenda.
How does the left get away with this?
Because
and the
media
right does nothing.
Because the media, university professors are all inclined, or not all, mostly inclined in this direction. So you're teaching it in schools. You're watching it on CNBC, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC. They have essentially controlled the medium of communication. When you go into middle America, and I've met folks from Iowa, Texas, Arkansas, whatever, they will tell you that the liberal media doesn't speak for them, that the liberal media has no interest in finding out what a middle-class American person in those states have and care for. What's being pushed is a fake agenda. It's
not a fake agenda. It's a real agenda.
No, what it is it's fake because the results, that if they actually do get the results, is simply the destruction of your country. Now, again, I could sound like a crazed anarchist, but the reality is we've seen this in countries like Venezuela, Cuba. We've seen Russia deteriorate from this. You want to go down this road, you are only going to, you mentioned China. China will walk right in and buy the United States for a nickel.
They already are.
Good.
They own.
Right.
Listen, we learned our lesson during the pandemic. They came in and bought up all, you know what? You can't call it a China virus. In fact, you can't call them for buying up all of our PPE when they knew what was going on, and then they wouldn't sell it back to us. They took over factories that belonged to American corporations. I mean, it was a shit show. Listen, I am not an anarchist. I am not anything. I am angry. And that's it. We're out of time.
On that note, let's wrap it up over here. Folks, we are done with our 15-minute rant of the day. If this is your first time joining us and listening to us, we thank you very much for being here. As you've seen, we are all over the place. Audible has got us
for radio.
Spotify has got us. All of these people have us.
Apple,
so
Amazon,
share.
iHeartRadio.
There we go. We look forward to see you folks on Friday. Have yourself a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week.